Welcome to Shop Culture. I am Twan the Voice, along with our hosts of Shop Culture, Barry, Teri, and Denea. Empowering Kids Camp is an interactive camp that teaches not only budgeting, but many more life skills that our children need to succeed in life. Empowering Kids Camp is a great program to start introducing the basics of money, responsibility, and leadership. There are 2 upcoming sessions, and there will be more soon. For more information, links are provided on our page, as well as being able to email Miss NicoleJFinancial@gmail.com for any other questions.
Can we turn that TV down, please? So yeah, no, I have my son going to.
Is there a speaker set up?
Yeah, I think there's a little speaker here. Hold on.
Go ahead, Big.
Yeah. So I have my son signed up for this, and I think this is a tremendous opportunity, especially for young people. We need to teach them a little bit more about entrepreneurship, about managing checkbooks, instead of waiting until they get A out of high school or B in high school. We should start that ASAP. We should start that now. So I think this is an excellent opportunity. So you have kids, especially trying to keep them occupied over the course of the summer. This is an excellent 3-day workshop program that's going to teach them, mold them, get them ready in terms of understanding finance. And so excellent. I think it's an excellent program.
At a young age.
Young age.
Yes.
All right, next up we have fantasy football season. Guys, fantasy football season is here, and Clock Management is teaming up with Shop Culture. Shop Culture and Clock Management are going to keep you in the loop all season long as far as your fantasy players are concerned. Our guy Barry will actually be adding to the fun as well this season.
Yes, yeah, anybody knows me knows I love the NFL. I love football. I love everything about it. So this is another venture for us. So my man is going to kind of come aboard and kind of go over the fantasy football players, the scoring, who to take, who to get rid of, so the whole 9. So check that out.
All right.
Check it out.
All right. Shop Culture presents Battle of the Barbers events coming soon.
Yes. Also, we have a couple more events going on. My man Herb the Barber is going to be putting on he got some major events. Also, our man Jesse James got a major barber battle coming up also with Herb the Barber in partnership. So there's a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, we got it representing Battle of the Barbers. Man, it was, you have your hand up? Oh, okay. I was about to answer.
He was doing the
Yeah. Anyways, as everybody knows that was there, it was almost 400 people. It was an excellent turnout. And if you weren't there, you definitely need to check this out. So, Battle of the Barbers, coming soon. Yeah.
And July 27th, this Saturday, God's Will Entertainment and Ocean Records brings you Soulful Nights Volume 1, featuring Case and Life Jennings. And they've actually invited Seattle's own Anthony Martin as their special guest. This newly remodeled, beautiful, elegant, and intimate Pantages Theater in Tacoma is ready for this show with a full bar. Music will be provided by the one and only DJ Funk Daddy, and RJ the host will be your guide to this Soulful Nights Volume 1. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts promptly at 8 p.m. Tonight, we talk about the political party lines, and are they relevant to Black people or other minorities as well? We have the pleasure of being joined by Miss Veronica for this conversation. We are Shop Culture. Barry, Teri, Denea, let's get it.
Real quick though, because we got to talk about the concert, man. Because the concert is a big time concert coming up. Our boy Steve-O, who's been a great champion of the show, Shop Culture, is really giving us some backstage access. So we're going to be doing some interviewing and things of that sort. We got Life Jennings. If you guys ain't hip about Life is old school. You know Life? What's it like?
Put me on the spot.
She was smiling. She's like, oh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh, man. So if people don't know, huh?
Like,
Where are we?
Life is a very, very seasoned professional in this.
I've been around for a
well,
minute.
damn, am I old?
I've been around for a
When do you think he came out, man? Shoot.
He ain't that old.
We don't want to do a Google on that. That's not what he's doing.
I want to say 14. It's been 14 years since it.
Has it?
So I went to
See, now
his
you
first
making
concert.
yourself.
I know I am.
So anyways, we'll just say it's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. But I went to the concert with him and Vivian Green at the Showbox.
That's a concert right
It
there.
was off the head. Yeah, it was off the hook. He's man, he's phenomenal. So check him out.
All right, guys, this is Shop Culture. Welcome. This is from Barry's Barbershop right here in Kent, Washington. I want to welcome everybody for joining us today with myself, as always, Mr. Teri Youngman, and
Crosby.
also Miss Denea. I'm gonna say it this time so she knows. I'm gonna say it loud. That's Denea over here. Denea.
He was right the last time too. I watched the video.
Yeah.
I was like, oops, Terry, I'm sorry.
Look, I had to. But how you doing, Denea? You doing good?
I'm good.
You looking good. I like all that going on. Yeah, you just looking
Thank
all
you.
so cool. I like that. All right.
Thank you.
We also have a very special guest today with us from the 9 Line Veteran Services, Miss Veronica Davis.
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Oh,
All right, you guys, as we move along, I'd like everybody that's joining us. I want to once again welcome you guys and thank you guys for joining us. And while we move along, as you guys give us a shout out, give us a like, a share, and a comment. Comment along with us as we go through the show. It does a lot and a great deal for the show and for our channel when you guys help us out like that. So go ahead and give us a like, a share, and a comment along with us as we move
and
along.
also we have to also say, man, the shop has been growing, so we want to really appreciate everybody that's been watching. Man, the views have been kind of climbing.
That's right,
We
that's
never
right.
thought we were going to even get this far. So anything else is a dessert.
And we're just trying to, we're
You know?
really trying to push this content and really trying to have fun and let you bring you guys into our little world and discuss things with us the way we do it here in the shop. And we just thank everybody for joining us, rocking with us every time that we come on. And we got some good stuff for you guys today. Today, we're going to be talking about the political line. Now, look, don't run, because I said politics. It's not going to be that kind of thing. Look, what we're doing here, this is not about being divisive. This is not about who's right, who's wrong, what are you going for next year, or all that stuff. It's not about that. This is about trying to figure out what these political lines are and what they're doing to us as a people, as a society, and our communities. And we're trying to figure out, is there a pull to the political sides for one way or the other, depending on what race you are? Minorities seem to go this way, non-minorities seem to go another way. We want to figure out and break down these political lines and what they are and why they are kind of the way they are. But look, it's nobody's wrong, and we want everybody to share your feelings and thoughts on this topic with us because it's an open discussion. And with that said,
Unless I say you're wrong.
unless Denea says
Well,
you're wrong.
she's about to say that real soon. So
Yeah. So this is gonna be a friendly discussion as much as we can. That doesn't mean it can't be an adult discussion. So everybody that if you have a strong opinion, give it. But be respectful of everybody else, especially in the comments, and we'll be respectful to each other on the panel. And treat it like you're having a conversation with somebody right there in their face. And we'll be good with that. But we're just getting started. How's everybody's week and weekend and all that stuff been? Everybody been good?
Yeah, my weekend was amazing.
It's amazing?
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yes,
Amazing.
amazing.
What happened? Anything? Can you share? What is it? Was it PG amazing or was it? Let me know. You know what I'm saying?
According to today, she is not doing anything.
Oh, okay. So it was PG. It was PG.
Yeah, shout out to my boo, Ike Turner.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. We got the cake.
That's Facebook official.
Wait.
Eat the cake, anime. Yeah, eat the cake.
You went in.
Nah, I
You
tell you.
went in.
Cake.
We got to get this.
Nah, I told you that. I sing the song like I told you now. I ain't.
She did the cake.
Throwing the voice that's just surprised with the cake. Eat the cake, anime.
No, I'm actually abstinent, so.
Okay, well.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let's get back on this other aspect.
Oh, I ain't gonna play that.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna play that.
I ain't gonna play that.
I ain't gonna play that.
Now, I told you now, Tina, we got dates now. We got Cleveland, we got San Antonio.
So,
How was your weekend?
no,
Barry?
hold on. So who's Ike, though? Can we just get on that and then we're going to move on? Who's Ike?
Ike.
Is it a new one?
Oh, he said on you.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Wow.
You went out there, didn't you? No, it's not a new relationship, Barry.
Well, you and I got a good weekend.
So you guys are official.
She
I like that.
official
You
now.
announce it.
No.
Shop culture. We do everything. We even announce relationships.
We're not official.
This is a show about
Just had a
love.
good weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is about love.
That's good. Veronica, did you have a good weekend?
Oh, wow.
I did. It was a recharging weekend. You know, everybody says you can't pour from an empty cup, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to
Ooh,
recharge and
Yeah.
just refocus. And center yourself again.
So what is that? What is that though exactly? I've heard that. Somebody else was telling me that. I'm like,
Well, so in my business, I deal with a lot of veterans, PTSD, suicide, things like that. So if you're always given, if you're always that voice that somebody comes to and you're always dealing out the information, you're always being empathic and nurturing, you get drained after a while. It does. It sucks you. Exactly.
Right.
So you have to take time and just to remember that life is worth living. It's not, their problems are not yours. You have to be able to detach, and sometimes it's harder for others. So you just need time to that quietness and have those people that you can trust be around you.
Right. And when you're better, you're going to be better help for others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great.
Glad you got recharged this weekend.
oh yeah.
I needed it.
How's it, man?
Oh yeah, man. It was, well, I just got back from out of town. I went on a vacation.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I went to Hawaii.
Like, whatever.
Honestly, just everything aside, it was just great spending time, with me and my son, and then some other friends were there. So it was,
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
I was seeing it.
and it was just surreal, kind of seeing the beauty. You know, saying you go out to the beach and it's just, just these waves and the blueness of it was unbelievable. So I would suggest everybody get a chance to go to Hawaii.
Hawaii's on my list, man. I gotta get there one of these days. I gotta make it. I had a good weekend. I went to the bite. I
still got it?
Yeah, the bite Seattle, man. I went down there downtown. It was nice.
I'm scared
It was
to go there.
the weather was nice. Hey, look,
You
man.
brave.
Well,
She's from Teri in the end. What she telling you what she should be? Right.
Look, I went on Sunday, and it was
That's
really
why I
nice.
moved from Gary.
Hot.
Get away from the drama. Shoot, came to Seattle. Y'all trying to get back.
Good, man. Yeah, drama. If you're not looking for drama, you just out there doing your thing with your family. Usually you'd be okay. Now that's how it was for me. The fight was really good, really nice. A lot of good looking people. A lot of hot. It was hot out there. But I got this barbecue sandwich there, man. And it was great on the way in.
He's
That's all I'll say. It was great on the way in.
On the first bite.
Can we give him a shot? Who was it?
I don't remember the name of the place. I was just like, it was like the first place that I saw that had some barbecue going. It was, oh man, it was screaming. But you know what they do? I think a lot of times, a lot of these places like the Bite, a lot of these festivals or like carnivals and stuff like that, they want you to like try their stuff and think it's like the best. So they put like all the extra lard and all the extra bad stuff in it to make it sound, more grease to make it taste delicious. So when you get it, like, this is the best sandwich I ever got. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, this sandwich, man. So, but yeah, it was, but we had fun. The kids had a great time. It was just a good time. Good weekend, man.
And that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
That's all it's about, man. The kids, the family, all of that stuff. You know who's not having a good weekend, though? R. Kelly. So, if you guys didn't hear, R. Kelly, man.
His handler kind of sold him out. You can also tell money's running out for R. Kelly.
Yeah. Well, and you see it now because all those people are kind of turning on him. His handler came out, and now the charges against R. Kelly are getting real big. What do you guys think the more you guys seeing this stuff with R. Kelly? Because it's looking real now for this guy, man. His manager, one of his old managers, is coming out and saying he wouldn't leave his kids around him. He had to resign from his services. Other people are coming out. They indicted. I forget the exact number, but several members of his inner circle got indicted. People that worked for him got indicted, basically as basic participants in the whole trafficking of young girls. People that turned a blind eye to what he was doing with all these young ladies. That happened, man. What do you guys think when you guys see this? Is R. Kelly, man. This is the guy we were listening to.
Burn him at the stake.
It's going like that, huh?
You still listen to his music? When you hear an R. Kelly song,
I would turn from an R. Kelly song unless it's just like one of those R. Kelly songs.
Isn't that pretty much every R. Kelly song, though?
R. Kelly song.
Isn't that pretty much most of them?
But it's tough.
Hey, listen, it was on my phone, and I did listen to it. I felt guilty, damn it.
I turned it off for you.
Look, I think at a certain point, as a society, as a culture, we have to understand that it doesn't make you bad if you want to separate the art from the artist. Sometimes I really do feel that way.
It was written about young girls.
Yeah.
Well, see, but then when you go deeper than that, Denise brought up a good point. She was saying that it sounds like a lot of those songs, if you really dig deeper, were written about younger girls.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about it like that, yes, it's definitely a black cloud on it. But I wonder if we really is it wrong? Like, let's say like somebody like Kevin Spacey. Now I'm a big movie guy. If I want to go back, and Kevin Spacey's a terrible person. If you know about what's really going on with him nowadays, we'd come to find out. But I mean, he's a great actor. Can I not watch LA Confidential? Can I not watch Usual Suspects now? I mean, it's crazy when these things happen. And now we got R. Kelly, who, by all accounts, come on, we all know that where there's smoke, there's fire, and he's been smoking for what, 25 years now? You know what I mean?
And that's only that's been caught and documented.
Right.
Exactly.
So we know that something's going on with R. Kelly, but this is just tough, man. With stepping man to love, can we not do that no more?
No.
We can't step.
You be
No.
my me,
So
my
then let me ask you
tea.
this.
We can't do that.
Janice did bring up a good point, but then that's like Michael Jackson.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
There we
are you gonna
go.
listen to
Hold on.
Hold on. Oh,
Hold on.
Janice. Hold on, Janice. You might need
The
a.
difference is Michael Jackson is dead and has not been litigated. He was litigated and found not guilty.
So was R. Kelly the first time.
The first
First
time.
10
right
times.
But he
now,
didn't. But just because he didn't die.
the first time.
Well,
But
he
he
should
can't
have.
defend himself.
But Mike, who's to say that Mike wouldn't have been in the same position as R. Kelly is now?
The lawsuit would be called double jeopardy. He's already been.
But there's
acquitted.
different kids that come out though. He didn't get in trouble for every
Yeah,
kid.
that's not every
There was two
There
people,
was-
and one of them was the ones that he
that
got.
Right.
one they paid
But I'm not
off.
talking about a video. I'm talking about there's other kids. There's other kids.
Didn't he
that
pay
brought
one
up
of them off
allegations.
too? I could have
He's had a bunch of them. All I'm saying is that Mike going out the way he did is almost a benefit to his legacy because he's not around to damage it anymore. You know what I mean? Remember, Mike being around.
But again, that doesn't make. We're going to find. You really already know the truth because there's actual visual evidence
About R.
and legal
Kelly.
evidence about R. Kelly
Yeah.
versus us trying to make assumptions based on bad behavior by Michael Jackson. That doesn't make
Yeah.
him guilty.
I don't know, man. Because Veronica, what's your take
I'm
on this?
looking at it from a marketing standpoint. You made the perfect observation. The money's running out.
Yeah.
So now the
Yeah.
people that have supported him, that were part of it, you're not going to tell me that this man has made this much amount of money and the inner circle did not know. And not only the inner circle, but the second circle and the third circle. They all know those friends
Right.
that kind of shady, that, do what they need to do. But we all know it.
Right.
But what do we want to do? But now it's like, ooh, let me make sure. Let me look at myself. Let me polish my image because I used to be close to him. Let me get in the limelight.
Let me get
benefit.
ahead of this thing before I get called out.
Exactly. That's just the marketing standpoint. And, they're doing the great thing. But at the end of the day, they all knew.
Yeah.
Not only that, but come on, what parent lets their 14-year-old daughter, 14-year-old daughter, I watch my daughter like a hawk, and she's 22.
Right. Well, and if you heard a lot of the stories too, he was paying a lot of them off too, and so they were selling their kids out basically.
Exactly.
A lot
That's
of
my
these
whole
times.
point. Oh, so now the calls come home. Now you want to seem like, oh, you're the perfect parent. Where were you
And
back
just to
then?
follow up, like over in Hawaii, I was tripping how many like really young girls that they let like in these low ass. I'm like, really? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like,
But look at our culture now.
what
What
is
sells?
really?
But what sells?
Uh,
No, think about it.
I
Back
mean-
when we were 12, 13, how many times could we hear curse words on the radio?
You talking about little girls? They have little babies, and there's my daughter. She's 2 years old. There's no way she's wearing a 2-piece bikini.
It's just.
Whoa, but
That's too
it's
grown
also,
for a 2-year-old.
but it's also a part of the culture over there. It's not
over there.
Wait.
It's-
We have Hawaii.
No.
We went to the water park the other day.
Am I lying?
And it was little girls at the water park. Little girls, these little girls.
No, I know what you're
So,
saying.
I'm not
I know what you're saying about that.
really serious.
That's different on a bikini though. I think the luau thing is such a part of the.
No, that's not a luau. I'm talking. We're on the beach. This is how cold it was. I'm looking at my son.
Moana.
No, my son is 12. No, my son is 12, and he up here looking. I'm sitting here. I'm like, what are you looking? And these are little 11-year-old, 12-year-old girls.
Well, he should be looking
Well,
at 11-year-old girls.
No.
I would.
Well, I'll wait till he gets a little older.
Right.
Seriously, but I'm just saying it just seems like our culture has really shifted. Like I agree with what you said.
I think there's a difference between getting a string bikini for your daughter when she's like 3 years old, and then like if you're talking about a Hawaii culture or some of these other cultures where it's not a big taboo to be wearing less clothing.
It's the way
I don't
they
know.
wear it.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
difference between wearing it sensually and wearing it.
Then what type of
that's your
predators
custom.
are you
But that's
attracting?
what I'm saying. We have a culture that we do struggle with a lot of predators that we don't know about, and yet we're gonna parade our.
Exactly.
I find
Like, look at the R. Kelly is the perfect guy. R.
Yeah,
Kelly
well-
sitting out there on the beach watching the 12-year-olds.
But R. Kelly
came
at
with you for $1 million.
at McDonald's.
I'm saying.
I'm not for sale.
Okay.
And also remember, predators are gonna be predators no matter what. You could be wearing a little church outfit as a little girl.
But you
and
don't
predators
enhance
gonna
it
be
though.
looking
You
at
don't
it.
enhance the.
I know, but I'm just saying. I just think that. But it's a tough
Being a
situation.
predator has little to do with what you have on and everything to do with what you are.
But
Right,
well,
that's what I think, too.
I thought it has something to do with the senses too. You
No.
enhance the senses.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
I don't know.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it has something to do with how you present yourself too.
How you
Because
carry
people-
yourself.
Because people,
I see, but I think
there's
that's a
all
slippery
types of
slope
things.
when you say that,
There's all
though.
types
That's
of.
not slippery slope.
There's not-
Put some
there's
clothes on.
people that are
Put some
fighting with
clothes
those
on, damn
demons. There's people that are fighting with those demons or are trying to fight with those demons or
And
whatever.
asking God for
And-
forgiveness, you know.
You know,
Thank you, God.
Well,
and then, you
that's
know,
a great
you
way
got-
to put it back on the victim versus the person.
I think so,
We're
too.
not on the
I
victim.
think-
Hold on,
Hold
because I disagree with that. Nobody's putting on the victim, but
You
why
are.
why do little girls have to be in these
Exactly.
little
Sexualized.
strips? I don't understand
But you're
why.
blaming
See,
them.
I do.
It's not blaming, but why? I just don't see
You're
it.
blaming them.
At what point do we hold people personally responsible for their actions?
Thank you. I think people.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, wow.
That's not
that's
just
of course you have to hold people personally, but that's vice versa. That's in both ways.
exactly
Yeah.
both ways, but it seems like one side is being represented.
No. All I'm saying is
I'm
little
not,
girls
I'm
shouldn't
not
have to
saying
wear
that the predator is
Absolutely.
okay for looking at the little girl.
No, and-
I'm saying the little girl parents
should be accountable in
yeah,
terms of not having their daughter in a
Exactly.
two-piece little bikini.
because
Come on.
of the things that are going on today in the world.
That's all I'm saying.
I always feel like
As a parent, you're supposed to protect.
I get that.
Are you protecting that? Are you
Okay, if
protecting your
she's fully
kid?
dressed and gets snatched up, are you protecting that?
Okay, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
But
what
that's
we're
the
seeing
case.
here in
But
bikinis.
that's what
protection.
happened.
That doesn't make
You're not
the kids
protecting.
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
That's
make it okay. That's too.
one thing I've always had trouble with certain cultures and certain I don't want to, I no disrespect. What you believe is what you believe. I know there's a certain cultures and belief systems that they really encourage the women to really cover themselves up and not be covered. And most of that is because you don't want to send temptation out
Exactly.
to other men. I always felt that that's crazy because, like, if you're being tempted by looking at a woman's leg, it's a little bit of her calf is out. Oh my God, I'm tempted by it. That's you. That's a problem with you. I was thinking.
Wait, time out.
That's
Time out. When you go to the club and you see a woman that's
I'm talking about
you look
calves.
at wait.
But I'm talking about
But you
calves.
see the
You're talking about
Hold on. Time out. What I'm saying is that's kind of the extreme of the thought process that you guys are having. That it's the onus on the person who's wearing a certain outfit. That's like when a woman wears an outfit and it's provocative, and then the guy
woman should be able
says
to
that
wear
she's dressed a certain way. So what message is she trying to send? You know what I
We're
mean?
not
I
talking about
feel
women.
like
We're talking
that's.
about little girls. Though.
I get that. What I'm
yeah,
saying
we
is,
talk about 13 and 12-year-old girls.
no,
Come on,
I
man,
get.
you're supposed to
Okay.
protect it.
Look.
Do better on that.
While I can agree that I feel like there's a level of there's a certain appropriate clothing that certain children should wear. I feel like I don't care if I saw a naked 3-year-old child. I'm not gonna get anything.
But you're not a
That's you.
predator.
You're not a predator. What I'm saying
That's
is,
what we're
so the
saying.
predator is gonna be a predator no matter what.
When we don't
enhance.
enhance
Exactly.
the predatory
Yeah.
nature
Well,
of
Bring that
them.
attention to your child.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. Lydia's saying hi, everybody. She said she loves the sign. She agreed with something that
Battle
Denea
of the
said.
barbers.
She agreed with something that Denea said a minute ago, and she also said no little girl need to be wearing bikinis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
So
That's it.
you don't need to be wearing them, but you shouldn't get turned on by them either. That's all.
Right.
But we're not saying that. I don't think anybody here is saying that.
I'm just saying this. I think that like again, the R. Kellys of the world that are gonna be turned on by little girls, no matter what they wear. You can wear every piece of item of clothing there is. The fact that they're a 12-year-old girl, that's gonna attract them more than the fact that she's wearing something skinny. So yeah.
I'm glad how we
I
break down how a predator.
I disagree with that. Totally.
I don't know.
Totally.
Well, there's facts behind that.
Yeah.
Hold
There's
on,
There's
there's facts.
science behind that.
There is
There's science behind
Well,
what?
that's not true.
No, it's not true
There is
because there's
true.
science also about how they get turned on by looking at certain.
Well, this is why you have people that go to jail and are
Right.
convicted and they go through sex therapy
There's
because
science behind it.
It's
there is a
different
science.
senses. Yeah, there's different senses though that attract these predators.
But it has nothing
But
to
it's
do
not
with
what you're
clothes.
wearing. It's what they are.
That's just bullcrap.
I
That's
can't
know.
really have
Don't-
it.
don't
I
listen to
can't
Dana.
with the I'm agreeing with the name. I'm agreeing with the
Those are the
name.
people who actually do the research.
There's a difference between a little girl wearing a t-shirt
Thank you.
and something sensible than having a bra and underwear.
But
Yeah,
then,
and then being like, well, I don't see nothing wrong. Well, they should be able to.
But Denea, I'm gonna move up. But I'm saying, Denea, when you saw the little girls walking around in a bikini outside, you were just like, man, they should put some clothes on. You weren't
But
like,
then again, I'm
man,
not
they
that
should
type
put
of
some
person,
clothes
but
on.
I
There's a
have been
difference.
introduced to predators. I know what predators look for because I am a victim of a predator. So I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, it is not only about, you know, the fact that they're a predator, but it's a battle. It's a battle that they're fighting in their mind constantly. It's an illness. And so, like Barry said earlier, you can enhance that illness. They go through spurts where they're not a predator and then they become a predator.
And that person don't need to be on the same.
There's triggers. There's a little girl in a bikini, that could be a trigger for a predator.
That's what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter.
But in that sense, you could be like, oh, she's eating ice cream in a way that's turning me on. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know.
We were in North Carolina, and I had another mother who was actually, she didn't know she was dating someone who was a predator. And she had told me one thing very significant. She says, I don't let my daughter wear any more light colored clothing that show the darkness of her areolas. And I said, really? She says, that was one thing that he was attracted to. Okay. And ever since then, it's whatever a trigger is, the predator is going to have a trigger no matter what.
Yeah, because he's really looking. I mean, he's trying to see that. If he's a predator, yes, he is.
Not necessarily.
All right,
look, like I said,
we're gonna.
Good. I mean,
look.
Yeah, we need to have a talk about
this one because I'm sure that we
need to
have part two. Because I thought we'd be all.
Because I gotta go in on this.
Look, because trying to.
I have to. Don't worry.
We agree.
Yeah, I agree. Everything.
Go ahead, Twan.
So, you know what? Lydia mentioned, Veronica, you are very, very right. Perfect word for that is trigger. A lot of people have different triggers to different things, whether it be, you know, that sexual deviant or, you know, sexual preference, smoking, drinking, whatever. People have triggers. So that was a very, very great point. One thing that Lydia also asked was, are you going to let her wear red lipstick when she's wearing the bikini?
Well, I mean, that's doing the most. That's trying to, like, you're dressing somebody up. Now,
doesn't one go hand in hand?
It does go one.
Thank you.
But the thing is, when you're doing red lipstick is something that's supposed to make you look sensual, and it's supposed to be for all that. A bikini is just some clothes to wear when you're in the
Is a bikini not to make you look sensual and appetizing?
Is it? Are we talking about a thong bikini? Are we talking about with the booty out? What are we talking about here?
Of bikinis now.
Yeah,
you know, I was shocked when I went. I'm like, oh my God, is this a nudist beach? What did something change?
I'm with you.
It's the.
What was it? Babies wearing the sexy.
I was in the restaurant. The girls were having. I'm just like tripping.
Yeah. Well, look, we can go on forever with that one because that one's obviously got a lot of legs. Bottom line is, the R. Kellys of the world are in trouble. And no.
Cover these little girls up.
I agree with the movement.
Hashtag cover the little girls up.
Yeah, and hashtag if you nasty anyway. So, but anyways, listen, we're gonna move on though.
I don't know about that one, Teri.
If you're nasty. If you're nasty. You don't care what they wear.
Yeah.
You don't care what they wear. If something wrong with you, if something wrong with you, that's wrong with you. And no matter what they're gonna wear, you're gonna be wrong anyway. That's all I'm saying. But let's go. Let's move on. We gotta move on from there.
Hashtag cover your little girls up.
See, look, man. See, you gotta keep it. You just gotta get the last word in. You go ahead.
Hashtag triggers.
I say it.
Go ahead.
Hashtag triggers.
All right, guys. We're gonna move on now. We're gonna talk about these political lines. Now, every time that it's election season, when you get into that, you know it goes into overdrive with the political rhetoric on TV, on one channel or another. These people are bad, blah, 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 and all these other things. But one thing that always is consistent every year since forever is the racial component in these politics. And just taking a look at that, why do you think that it is? Why do you think that minorities seem to usually be on one side of the fence or wall, so to speak, or or you have other non-minorities on another side? What do you think that it is?
Yeah, what'd you say?
Look,
Are you for the wall? I'm just curious. I need to know right now.
Am I for a wall?
Are you for the wall?
I'm not for anything that's ridiculous, that doesn't make any sense, that will never work.
Okay.
But I don't want to go into a directly.
Wait a minute, that's deeper than what. Hold on now.
Look. Again, the point of this conversation is not to divide; it's to come to an understanding. So that's what we're going to try to do here. I don't want to be so direct on the head. We got you can go to any channel any website,
I agree.
and you guys can preach to your own choir. You get the message that you want to get anywhere else about politics. What we really want to talk about though is, why do you think it is that certain groups are attracted to one side over the other? In my experience, and in a lot of people's experience, it seems like minorities usually lean a little more left. And it seems like a lot of non-minorities are usually the ones that go a little more right. And you can break that down into certain groups, because there's certain classes of minorities that go the other way or the other way, and there's certain classes of non-minorities that go one way or the other. There's many ways to look at that. What do you guys think is some of the big factors and some of the reasons why you've seen it the way it is in the polarizing nature of politics?
I think it's perception. I think the perception plays a lot of a role into it. I think if you're a person of color, you do see other people of color on the platform. How about that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a connection that you have. So I think that's one of the major reasons.
On which platform?
Well, if you're looking at African Americans, you see mostly African Americans on the Democratic. Whether if you're a
You might see
woman
more
or
of them.
yeah, you may see well. Have you seen any on the red?
They got a few they're trying to sprout up.
I'm Republican.
They had Herman Cain.
So they Republican. Okay, that's a new side.
I just don't agree with Trump
Okay. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of
The
Republicans.
values and what.
and what the
Push
values.
you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Republicans that
You
feel
know
that.
the thing about it
That's
is,
changed over the years.
yeah, I am very conservative. It's some things that I don't agree with on the Republican Party,
Uh-huh.
but I'm more so conservative, So I am pro-life, so a lot of other things.
Okay, and so do you feel like I want to ask you real quick, since you offered that up, as a Black Republican woman who leans conservative in most of your views, what's your experience like that with the Black community? Do you feel like there's a lot of people like you that are on your side, or do you feel alienated a little bit or by yourself?
I really usually don't talk about politics with people. I don't really care.
Is that why though? Because
I don't really care about what other people think about my views, and so I don't get into those type of discussions with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that a lot of Black people would be shocked that I am more conservative.
You see the response, really?
Yeah.
Because we never discussed it.
Yeah.
Nor do you have to, but that's interesting. But I can see that.
But it's not shocking to me with some of her viewpoints. That's not shocking to me that she would be more conservative. Like a lot of the religious things she says and things like that. It's not shocking.
Well, okay.
Veronica,
yeah.
What do you feel about that?
It's a little shocking.
Real quick, hold on. We have a special guest.
Is he joining us?
Yes, he's joining us. This is my buddy, good friend,
Come on in.
fellow barber. He's running for Federal Way City Council.
Come on in.
The man himself.
You at a school or something?
How you doing, my guy? Good seeing you, my guy.
Yeah.
Introduce
Hey, bro,
yourself.
I know this man.
Yeah.
How you doing, the voice?
Oh, there you go. Introduce yourself real quick.
Man, Lamont Styles running for Federal Way City Council, position 3.
Oh,
Barber, 17 years.
all right.
All right.
So
Veronica.
go ahead. Yeah.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
She got rolling.
Lamont Styles is still alive.
I'm here.
Right on in.
We campaigning right now.
I know that's right. Campaign on South Culture.
Absolutely, South Culture, shout out.
So Veronica, what has been your experience and the polarizing nature of politics? What do you feel is the draw and the pull to one side or the other for a lot of the different?
I think it depends on your culture and how you've been raised. I've been always from the Democratic simply because of my culture and the people around me and where I grew up, East Los Angeles. You can't get more Democratic than that,
But you're a
I
veteran.
grew up Democratic. too.
No, I'm not. I was just household 6 for 22 years.
Okay.
No, but it depends on what you believe and what you're ingrained in. And when it's like any religion, you grow up in a religion and then you grow up and you find it for yourself.
Right.
And then,
Oh, definitely.
I've changed a lot from my upbringing but my political views, but it's different though. I am 100% Latina. So
Hey.
I do see
I don't know whatever that means. I like it.
It sounded good.
Y'all always like that. Until they curse y'all out.
Hey, look, hey, we like that too. We like that too. Lamont, what side are you really on when you politically?
I roll with the Democrats.
Okay.
I I grew up like the thing like growing up in Carolina, it was really racial. And so like the Democrats had a lot more ideals, at least as far as what they say, as far as in tune with what I was trying to do. And then, you know, not saying like on a conservative tip, because down south a lot of people are conservative, but they connect that conservativeness with like a racial, you know, like Ku Klux Klan. So a lot of black people would just go.
Yeah, so I had to separate that when I made a decision to become Republican. I had to separate because that was the whole thing. I realized that I was only Democratic because of my race and the racial things that we deal with.
So what was the tipping point that got you to the other side?
Because I just realized more after the Obama campaign with the whole Hillary and Trump thing. I just realized in that moment, as I was learning and as I was watching the debates and things, I am more conservative. You know, I was agreeing with a lot of things that the Republicans were saying. Not Trump, and not what Trump was doing, but just you know the views. You know, like, okay, well, yeah, I don't believe in this, or I don't believe that, or these are really, you know, my core beliefs. So why am I Democratic? Because of my race? No, you know, I need to make a better decision.
But it sounds like you made an informed decision. That's what it's about.
So one of our viewers, Lydia, said that the Democrats are targeting minorities. Do you guys feel like Republicans are targeting non-minorities as well?
How do you think Trump won?
Definitely, and that's 100%. I agree.
He was great marketing. He sold the biggest thing that sells.
He sold it to a certain segment of non-minority white people.
No. I think no. He sold something that a lot of people already felt, but they didn't think they were able to say it.
Right. He said it. That's the thing with Trump is it's very enlightening to see how many people agree with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I saw. I was like, yo.
Right. Well, I think one of the reasons why I was saying, though, I think he sold something to a certain segment of white people. And I'm not saying it's not a big segment, but I'm saying he sold a certain segment because I do know a lot of white people that they completely disagree with what he said and how he said it.
But so just the white people.
Right.
No, it's minority.
Right. We're talking about specifically the culture, though, and we're talking about racism on that aspect of what he was selling, and that. I think that there is a certain segment of people that definitely feel that way. And there's some that didn't. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead. More comments.
You know what? Our buddy Sean Rankin said that he leans a little bit more towards independent element, not overly to the right, but definitely not overly left of center. Do you guys try to balance out the right side versus the left side, or do you try to vote more towards your minority or driven side?
I mean, the thing is, with politics, you can't balance it out. It's either one way or another. You can't. I mean, there's no middleman. You have to choose.
Well, you mean in the voting booth?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the end of it all, you have to choose. Either you're not going to vote, which is not choosing, not making a choice, or you have to choose Republican or Democrat. So really, what middle ground is it? Now, I mean, I understand what he's saying because I wanted to balance it out because there's things about Democrats I agree with, but I know that I'm more conservative. But there is no balancing. There's only two choices.
Right. I think you're choosing the lesser of two evils. You'd rather be with the devil you know than the devil you don't. Yeah. And usually their track record goes back because at the end of the day, there has not been one politician, once they're a president, that has actually done what they say they're going to do.
Obama did a lot he said he was going to do.
Exactly. Well, so has Trump, right?
Exactly.
I know Trump is way more than what he said.
No, Trump, remember, one of the major things that Trump got elected on in a lot of ways was that I'm going to repeal and go against everything that Obama did. He's lived up to that part.
Well,
that's pretty much in a lot of ways.
Because that's hate. Well, but let me tell you something. We will not pay for that wall.
No, well, they're not paying for the wall. And also, it's easier to break things down than it is to build things up. So when you go there, it's a lot easier to say, oh, I'm not going to go with this, I'm not going to go with that. Solutions, on the other hand, is a different problem, and I don't think we've seen a lot of that.
You know what, I'm sorry. No, what I was going to say, I'm wondering if Obama was white, if he would still have tried to repeal everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's my whole thing. It didn't matter if he was a Democrat or Republican. My question is if Obama wasn't black, if he wouldn't be trying so hard to erase him from the history.
And another question is, if Obama was black, would Trump even be? If he wasn't black, would Trump even be in office now? I don't think so.
So a couple of things that have come up. Couple of things that have come up on topic is Sean asked, didn't Trump get about 30% of the Latino vote in his election?
Because there's a lot of Latinos who were on the train of they didn't mind the wall. They did because it was kind of an attitude of I made it. forget everybody else. And then there's a lot of Latinos who believe they are white.
Yeah. There's a certain word for that, but I'm on live television. I do have a marketing business, so we can keep those comments.
What's the word? What's the word?
Because some people you forget where you came from, but that's okay. We'll remember where you came from because todavía tienes tu familia en Mexico.
Hey! Sean, you done messed up, bro. You done messed up. All right, Jesse
I don't know
James.
what she said, but it was serious.
Jesse James actually threw something out too, asking, why do you think that our current president won a bigger percentage of the black vote than most of the Republicans usually get?
Well, that I mean, maybe Denea, as a black Republican, as you identified yourself, maybe you could think. What do you think was some of the reasons?
I think it was because of his conservative views. Because I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what he actually comes off as, not all of the bullcrap, not all of the hate that he spewed, but when he's actually, when he's actually talking, you know what I mean? When he's actually talking about something, he has very conservative views.
Yeah, but
so
what do you mean, like conservative, like religious?
Religious views, yeah. So I'm thinking that he got more of the spiritual vote,
How is that though? When he's been there all the time,
No, I mean, but no, he's not. We all know who he really is now. I mean, if you have common sense, you know who he really is. But I'm just talking about how he tries to present himself to the public. You know what I mean? And some people fell for it.
I think
he talks like the common person.
I think on both on black and white sides there was a matter of him people believing that his wealth that he has was legitimate, and a lot of people thought, well, he's a good businessman, so he will be a good president. And so, and that went across racial lines. They're like, oh, he's successful, but no one really did the research to understand the level of whether he really is successple in comparison to
he had a great marketing person.
Right.
All right, hey guys, real quick. I want to get Lamont's take on this, but I want to tell everybody in the comments too. I do not want to make this a Trump discussion.
Right.
So what I want to do here, we want to talk about the conservative, we want to talk about Republican, left, right, all that kind of stuff. Fine. Try to leave Trump out of it because he's such a divisive figure. I don't really want this to degenerate into that conversation. So but go ahead and finish that.
I'm gonna get a little political. I love political science. So if you want, look up George Wallace, right? And so like Trump, what he's doing is he's the master of, you just look at his show, right? And so he can get your attention. He can say, hey, look over here while I'm doing this over here, exactly. Right? And so the thing, I think somebody mentioned it right here, like it was more so, and I know for me, but I just listen to people didn't, Hillary had a lot of baggage, right? They locked up a lot of non-violent drug offenders. They're part of the prison court. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of stuff that people didn't like about Hillary. And the thing I think that Trump gravitates people to him is he speaks his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like people are tired of politically correct. You know what I'm saying? They're tired of, I always got to tiptoe around stuff. He just was like, man, this is what it is. And then he'll stick by it. If he has to apologize, he'll, but I think he's just an entertainer. That's what he does. Yeah. And he makes it work for him. And then people don't understand. Like people are talking about Kanye West, and this dude signs like it was 200 lower level judges during that same time that they were talking about Kanye West. And I'm like, bro, he's over here with it, and then he's doing this over here. So we really got to pay attention to
sleight of hand.
He's very good at it. Right. And what he does is he plucks your strings. So if he knows that you're gonna feel it, like as far as like black people, and I don't like to say minorities, just people of color in general, they know that we're emotional. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yep. So we just gonna play this game with you, like, hey, bing, and then we going off, and then the whole time over here they ripping your pockets off. You see what I'm saying? Right. And so I think the main thing, like to what you said, is I fool with the local, going back to like our races are nonpartisan, right? The local, the city council races, so you don't have to declare a party. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? I declared a party only because
that money, huh?
They got a machine, and when it came down to going to a 30th district Democrats meeting, and they was coming in, and I'm talking like, hey, how do we, like bring people, and you guys can take this over, whatever, make it what you guys want it to be. And I was like, man, I feel that, and we didn't get nothing on the other side. Like nothing, no invite, no, hey, we happy to, none of that. It's just strictly, yeah, y'all keep doing what y'all doing. Yeah, go, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Right.
So it wasn't like we was welcome. Like, oh, you know what? Why you go over there? Why don't you guys come? It was none of that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Go ahead, Twan.
Do we seem to have an issue breaking down and separating a political party versus an idea?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a pack mentality that goes on when it comes to political sides, and it's like my team. I'm on the red team or I'm on the blue team.
And it's red and blue.
That's red and blue, just like Crip and Blood. And it's just the same thing. And it's no matter what, no matter how bad this person does or how bad this is over here or that, you're gonna stick with your team no matter what. I don't like Trump, but I'm gonna vote Republican because that's what it is. He's on my team.
Yeah. When Obama got elected, not to cut you off, when Obama got elected, there were Democrats that was like, I'm out.
Well, remember,
you know what I'm saying?
Racism is very strong.
Like for real.
What? But go ahead. What do you guys think about the pack mentality and people just choosing sides?
I think it's horrible. You should vote for policies that affect directly you. That's it.
You can't. It's not, the political system is not set up that way. It goes back to, you're going to choose the lesser of two evils, because
that's on the federal side though.
But you really
a lot of people don't look at the state side. Look at the percentage.
Look at the election. Look at the last election, president. It was great timing, but at the same time, people didn't. That was the most, I believe, I don't have the numbers, but that was the most undecided election ever.
I did not.
Why? Right. Because you wanted to vote this, but this person wasn't. You didn't feel it, so. I'm the party divided.
I'm gonna be honest. You're absolutely right. Especially with me, ever since I've been able to vote, I've voted every single year. And this one was one of the least. I think this was the least enthusiastic vote that I ever cast. And I still voted left because I did feel like, and it wasn't just because it was my team. It was because at the end of the day, I do feel like this was the lesser of two evils. It's a shame that it's like that, but I feel like this was a little less of a train wreck as this would have been. You know what I mean? But there was a ton of things that on the person that I voted with, like you're talking about, like the stuff in the 90s. You're talking about.
I thought Hillary was evil too.
Well, but the thing is, at the end of the day, here's one thing that I always have thought though when it comes to these voting and people staying out and all this. I understand you got principles and everything, but at the end of the day, one person's going to get it from either one of these parties. And to me, I feel like yes, the lesser of two evils is not the best vote, but it's the best vote I could do because one of them's going to make it.
Have some voice and no voice
right,
at all.
Right, and that was the only reason why I chose the way I chose, because I was not thrilled about my pick.
You know what? The voices don't matter. The voices do not matter at all. Your voice don't matter. Your vote don't matter. At the end of the day, let me tell you, I follow that freaking debate trail from beginning to end. There is no way in HE double hockey sticks Trump should be president.
Well, Hillary actually won the popular vote. Yeah. That's what we don't understand. Like, the president is elected by the electoral college.
That's what I mean.
It's outdated,
but
yes,
to what you said, because we're talking about national politics.
Yeah.
What about the community?
The local?
Because when we bring it down to here, it's different. Yeah. The races, you're talking about 100 votes.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. Like, my good friend Jesse Johnson that ran for city council, like, they thought that he was going to lose, but he went and he knocked on doors, and they just didn't understand that the more people you get in front of, the more people you can talk to on this level, we're actually controlling stuff. So that's where I was going to, I don't know if I can ask a question, like, why do you think that we focus so much on national politics rather than local? Because I'm telling you, this is what affects our everyday life.
That's a great point.
Policing,
everything. Your speed bumps.
I mean, city ordinances are written by the council.
This is why I'm running right now, because I'm going to the city council meetings. Like,
yeah.
Did y'all just hear what they just said?
Right.
More police to ticket us. That's how they're gonna bring in more money. Well, that at the detriment of my household, 130 I gotta take out of my pocket that could have went to the light bill because they need more money for the city that they didn't messed off anyway.
Right. So we're gonna catch you going 5 over.
Listen,
so we get that 200 out of
contracts to their buddy.
That's
building
why I'm
contract,
running, bro.
And then also people need to feel more empowered to understand that they do have the ability to
And that's the
run
problem.
locally.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize. I think a lot of people have lost hope.
Yeah.
They feel that why bother?
But that's on the federal level too, though.
Yeah,
They don't
but
understand
no,
the
but
local.
even from the grassroots,
Yeah.
it goes back to, I think people they feel like, it's not my job, somebody else is gonna take
That's
care of
right.
it.
And we have
I
to
get
stop with that attitude though.
Right.
Yeah, but
That's why we have-
like you said,
Oh.
it doesn't matter.
And
We
run.
just talked about
And
it.
run.
Oh,
You
yeah.
run for council.
Well,
Run for
what
position.
to vote for what? Like you said, you vote for the small people that you want in office, and then that. At the
Wait,
end
so
of the
you're
day-
saying presidential votes don't matter?
No, I'm not. Yeah, but our votes doesn't matter.
I don't. I
Our
disagree
votes.
with that.
Well,
Our votes
it has
don't
less of an impact on your daily
Electoral
life than
votes,
the
they
vote
matter.
does.
So
I'm not
who's
saying
in
it's- I'm not
so
saying it's
who's
not.
in that office? That's what matters.
What, you know what? Who are the electoral people in our state that elect a president? So
Yeah.
for the people the electoral college people
Yeah.
that are in our state
Mhm.
that
They
actually
who
vote
matter.
for, who are they?
They're
Yeah.
who matter.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm
Their
not.
votes is what matters.
Who are
Again,
they? You know what
I'm not. My point isn't to say that. My point isn't to say that it's not important. I think
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's very important, maybe even more important. I completely agree with what you're saying on that. What I'm saying is, I think that the fact that we as minorities, and I'm talking about anybody whose culture falls into that category as a minority, the things that our forefathers went through to get us to vote for that
But that gives me
for the
freedom.
national.
That gives me freedom. I have the freedom to choose. Thank you that I do have the freedom to choose whether I want to vote or not.
No,
But
that's not
don't
the
take
freedom to do that.
don't take my freedom away from me. I don't agree with anything. There's no way in HEW hockey says that I will vote for Hillary Clinton, and there is no way I will vote for
And
Trump.
that's your prerogative.
So-
Go ahead, Twan. Let me look at some of these comments real quick.
So Lydia had thrown out a great idea, and we want to see how it plays out on both sides. She said that there are a bunch of people who are fiscally Republican. Is that the same for Democrats as well?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Democrats are gaining on that fiscally.
Well, I believe that there's one of the big differences, and when you're talking about fiscally, is the fact that a lot of the bills that get passed and all these other things, when it's the Republican vote, the Republican side usually leans more towards that upper echelon, that 1%, and a lot of the things seem to go that way, tax wise and all these other things. So to me, that's always been why I've always felt more on the Democratic side, because they've always seemed a little bit more geared towards people that are in my range, the regular folks.
Well, the gag is they're not really fiscally conservative.
No.
They're saying that as a way to say we're trying to do what's best for the country, but the cuts are in the places that have the least amount of
Exactly.
impact to
For sure.
the deficit.
Right.
Definitely.
And it's for the 1%,
economy.
the higher
Yeah.
people. So
You know,
And
so.
they overwhelmingly rock like that. We rocking with our people. That's what I'm saying. When Obama got elected president, the big thing was the health thing.
Mhm.
And the one thing that they needed to make the prices go down was the public option, right?
Mhm.
And so you had Democrats that crossed over just so that wouldn't go through, and it killed the whole thing. You see what I'm saying? So that's my gripe is, like, they'll all get together and be like, forget the whole other side. Our side, the Democrats will be like, well, you know, that's my cousin over there for real, and
Hey, look, you know what? There's a joke, and please don't take this the wrong way. I respect anybody's views. There's one joke that always sticks out. There was an old movie called Spaceballs,
yeah.
where the guy says a line in there. He says, "This is why evil will always win over good, because good is dumb." And the thing is, again, this is a joke. But what I'm saying is, the Republicans have that. If you look on Fox News, okay, they will not report. They will. It's a joke.
Ain't no saving it. No saving
It's a
it.
joke. It's what I'm saying is no saving it again. Because if you watch on Fox News, just turn to it. If you see anything that Trump said bad, they will not report on it. Anything bad about Trump, they do not report on it at all. They go to the extremes to show you the best
Well,
stuff.
that's not patriotic though.
But what I'm saying
If
is,
you do that,
they're
if
on
you
their
do
side no
that,
matter what,
if you
100%.
do that,
That's all I'm saying.
if you talk bad about our president, then it makes America look bad.
That's crazy. I don't believe that.
It's not patriotic. It's not. I mean, yeah, it
That's
is
what we
freedom
fought
and all
for,
of that,
right? That's what
whatever,
everybody fought
okay.
for.
But still, to other
They
countries,
killed
how is that looking to other countries? A house divided cannot stand against each
When
other.
you were white.
A house divided.
When he wore a tan
cannot
suit, remember
So-
that scandal? That was a scandal of the
Okay,
decade.
whatever. I'm not, and that
Remember
wasn't
that?
good either.
Tan suit
Okay,
gate. That
and
was
it
all
still
over
made
that.
America look bad. It's not.
Right.
patriotic.
What they do, but what I'm saying is, they're the ones that preach that. To me, I think that democracy is all about that. We're supposed to be able to have discourse. We're supposed to be able to have dissent and discussion and disagreements. That's what democracy is about. So you should.
Built on.
That's what it's supposed to be
It
built
was
on.
built on rebellion.
Holding each other accountable. Hey, that's foul.
Right.
That's why they fled. That's why they fled. The Europeans fled to the
Exactly,
United
right?
States because they didn't have that freedom.
Hey, look, I was a fan of Obama in a lot of ways, but there was a couple of times, and one time majorly, and I'm not going to get into it here as a whole other discussion, but there was one majorly time where I was vocally, visibly upset with something that he did when he was in office.
He killed Gaddafi.
There was things I didn't agree with
I
him.
was hot about
There was
that.
things I didn't agree with him, and no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. But there was something major. I'll talk to you later. We're not talking. But no,
I wasn't looking.
there's times, and there's a way to be a political person that if you can recognize though when there are wrongs being done and you can acknowledge.
We only have a quick couple of minutes for these last two questions. One of them is, we talked a lot tonight about the Democratic versus the Republican parties. Guys, is there really a difference between the two? One used to be standing for what the other does now. How did that change, and where are we at with everything?
I think the lines are blurred now. I really do. Some, like she said, sometimes you have to, I really like this more, but I think the lines are blurred now. I don't think we're so decisively one against the other. It's, this person, I really love what this person stands for. I think the lines are blurred now.
Or the lines are blurred in a way where it's not so much that it's not so clear as to who stands for what.
Exactly.
Especially when you're looking at the certain figures, which I'm not going to go into directly, that are in office at the time and the ones that are running for other office at the time, because it's almost like, especially around this time, election season, when we're getting into warming up into the electoral year that's coming up, you start seeing people really pushing policies that they never really stood for before. That was, wait a minute, that's not on your record. Yeah. And so now it's identity politics more than anything. People are going towards, and they're pushing towards what they think their base wants to hear more than ever, I think, especially in this time, in internet era. That's what do you think, B?
Somewhat. I think one of the problems is I don't think people really study the issues and the policies and how to go about it, right? They don't understand how the system really works. And so I think we need to do better in teaching that. Maybe have a class courses or something like that. Because a lot of times people are just looking and getting their information from the media. And they want to blame the media.
It's part of that, the way that they're compiling the issues to things that matter greatly and then tacking on things to the bottom that we won't read as equally. To where you'll have, hey, tear down the stadium, and then you put on 15 other bills on top of that are going to make a difference in people's lives, but we don't really read those.
I think that's always a part of it, because you get the big headline, right? It's the sleight of hand act that we said certain people have mastered, and you get them to look over here, hey, while you're over there, and just knock everything down. So I mean, there's a lot of that.
We had that with the car tab, the transit.
So pay attention to
no one reads their voter
pamphlets. Really don't. So right. And then get mad at the media. I'm like, well, you didn't really do anything. You expect the media to tell you and teach you all this. It's just crazy.
This is media right here, right? And one of the big things that we don't look at, or we do look at, but we don't push, is education, man. Like, you should be learning this stuff. You should know who your local city council person is, what do they do? How much do they get paid? There are elections every day. I had somebody hit me on Facebook and was like, "Is this a special election?" I thought he said that I was special because I was in the election, and I read it. He was like, "Nah, like what are you running? Is this a special election?" I was like, "Nah, there are elections every year, twice a year, a primary and a general every single year." You see what I'm saying? So we have to, like you said, we have to educate ourselves. And I just applaud you guys for tackling this and putting this on here. I was trying to look for it, and I was like, man, I was just gonna shoot over here. And so this is a conversation that we definitely need in our community.
Everybody definitely needs to get their feet on the ground and really get involved in their communities directly.
That's right. Everybody needs to do their research. Look at your candidate. How many times have they gone against what they said they were going to do? Don't just look back 2 years from now. Look back 10 years how they started and where they started from.
Check the resume.
Read your voters pamphlet. There's a phone number. Every hit, you can call them. You can pick up the phone and call them.
Do you guys think that there is a especially on the left, do you think that there is a tendency to be too politically correct. How a lot of times, you know, the people on the other side, they bring that up a lot. How, you know, the PC culture and what it is and stuff like that, and how we, you know, we're overly woke and all these other things on this side. Do you guys feel like that's a part of it?
I think it's a tactic.
I think it's politically correct now than what it was 5-10 years ago.
Well,
it's the change of times.
Right.
It's not overly politically correct.
I don't know. Y'all
Should
was
we
just
focus
talking
on
about the land of the free, and it's freedom of speech. So, what is politically incorrect?
Yeah.
If that's the case, what is politically incorrect? Why
Well,
can't we just say whatever the hell we want to, right?
I
That
don't
brings
think
me back. That brings me back to my point.
What was your point? What was your point that is
Say what he want.
that point?
Exactly.
That's what people are tired of that. That's what I'm saying. Like, people are tired of tiptoeing and dancing. Like, they would rather be like, you know what, I said that wrong, than to try to just say it in a way that doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, people just get
worried
tired.
about our feelings.
Yeah, worried about the feelings. The comedians said that. Somebody was like, I think it was like Kevin Hart when he had to apologize. And it was like, man, we're comedians, man. Like, how do we get to the point to where we can't say anything? And I can apologize. I can say, hey, I didn't mean for it to come out like that. But it's passion included in just being tired of getting messed over. And I said it the way that I said it, but this is what I really meant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
well, I think too, it's a couple of ways to look at that though, because I think the idea behind being woke and behind being politically correct is right, because you should have to take accountability for not. You shouldn't have to think before you speak. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't be able to just say things and get away with it. And, you know, but on the other hand, I think that you should have to think before you say something that might offend somebody. Is all I'm saying. But at the same time,
there's a way to talk.
There's a balance.
I can't get offended by everything, though.
That's my point. Well, here's the thing, because like I said, you got a guy on the one side who will say whatever, won't apologize for one thing, and people like that. But a big segment of the people that agree with him for doing it that way are the people that want it to go back to the way it was 50 years ago, when they could say whatever and do whatever they wanted to anybody. So I mean, so it's a balancing act, and I think that we or people that are on the left and things like that, they do have to get less sensitive at certain things and be able to discuss things more. Cancel culture definitely has to chill a little
more policy
based. A little bit.
Yeah.
More policy based. That's what we're saying. More policy based.
Go ahead, Twan. We got one more.
Hey, last thing was, Lamont, you mentioned this a lot about the local candidacies and paying attention to our local elections, our local laws, and our local officials. So, with that, being in this particular Puget Sound area, do voices really get heard, considering how many times the tunnel idea was voted down yet passed? How many times the Kingdom and rebuilding of stadiums was shot down and yet still passed? Do people in this area actually get listened
Real quick though,
to?
on the stadium though, the stadium was redone though, and more money was put in by Paul Allen though. So before you was talking about the stadium, if you're talking about the mayors, they've already paid back too. So that's
Right, but that was not. So was that voted down though several times before that?
Down, but it was changed though. It was changed. So before
that's a positive step.
Okay.
But I mean, in general, Seattle doesn't seem like it gets a whole lot of.
This is why I drove all the way over here.
Okay.
Mr. Styles, where you out of?
I'm in Federal Way.
Okay.
I'm in Tacoma, so you go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
You ain't got that far.
I lived out there as well.
Right.
Man, we have to get involved, bro. Like, we abide by all the laws. We do everything else, but we won't participate in the law making, man. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. You see what I'm saying? Like, the reason what you're saying, this is what Sound Transit said. So I'm going to all the little Sound Transit meetings and whatnot, and this is their take on it. Let's see how many people come up and stop us from doing what we're doing, basically. So if you look at what happened in Des Moines with Dix, their city council did a special meeting. They did a special ordinance and said, no, we're not having it. And they went right around that joint. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is we have to look at it like, there's so many people that come to mind, Haile Selassie, whoever you want to, we can do whatever we put our minds to. We have to get involved. No fear. I'll tell you what, if you don't like the system, tell me what system you want to use. You want to use kings and queens? You want to use a dictator? Let me know what system works for the population, and let's explore it. But what I'm saying is we can't even say it really because we haven't fully participated.
All right, well,
You
we're
see
Don't
gonna,
even understand our own
But you come to
system.
the barbershop,
Yes.
you come to the barbershop and complain
There's
about
no
it.
victims, only volunteers.
all right, we're gonna have to leave it. We're gonna have to leave it on that note. Go ahead, Twan, you got one more comment?
So, hey, we actually just want to say thank you guys so much for joining Shop Culture. We want to make sure that you guys know about the Empowering Kids Camp with Financial Literacy with Nicole J Financial at gmail.com. Saturday, the 27th, Soulful Nights, Volume 1, featuring Life Jennings, Case, and Seattle's
And
own
Shop Culture
Anthony
gonna-
Martin.
We're gonna be there.
Nice.
Shop
We're gonna
Culture
be
will
there.
be in the
Nice.
building.
I'm telling you.
Nice.
Shop
There.
Culture will be there streaming live from this
Yeah, there you
event.
go, by my
And
team.
we wanted to make sure that you guys knew about the upcoming events with
I-
Battle of the Barbers.
Battle of the Barbers.
So,
Battle of the Barbers. You guys know what this is. Come on.
Barry, Teri, Denea, Ms. V, Mr. Styles, take us out.
All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Shop Culture today. I want to thank Mr. Twan, the voice back there, doing his thing as always, giving us the info the way only how he could with that deep, sexy, sensual voice that he got there. Miss Denise, I want to thank you for all the hard work. She does a lot of work. She's behind the camera. You heard her voice a few times on the show. She does her thing. Passion. I want to thank our two great guests that came on today. Mr. Lamont Styles, running for City Council. We have some information up for him to guys.
And
check
not
it
only
out.
Lamont Styles, we got Todd Miter for the city of Kent.
You guys,
And Miss Sarah Franklin.
get aware,
Come on.
look up these
Yep.
people, and get involved. We also want to thank Miss Veronica Davis from 9 Line Veteran Services for joining us.
Veronica. Did the thing.
Yeah.
I see.
We also want to thank the Queen, Miss Denea, the Queen of Shop Culture. We want to hear you guys. All right, guys, keep your comments coming. Barry, where's the barbershop at?
529 Central Avenue North, man. You guys
Support,
already know.
man.
I'm your boy, Teri Youngman.
Told you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Until next time, peace out.
Thank you guys so much. Peace out.
Yeah, that was dope. That's dope.
So who's your campaign manager?
Allison
serious.
Teri.
No, but that's okay. Are you on all social